So I think we can start. So everyone, so in today's session, what we're going to do is we're going to talk about the DAX features and data modeling. So that's what is going to be the agenda. Just allow me a second. So hope everyone. So I am expecting that you all would have some working knowledge on the Power BI, right? Can I get a quick thumbs up if you all are using Power BI? Yep, you can use chat to put yes or no, right? Or you can use the reactions. All right. See, so the session is something which is going to revolve around DAX. See, this is a very important feature that we have, which actually stands for data analysis expressions. Okay. Now, with the help of DAX, what we generally do is this gives us the capability to create calculated columns. You can make calculated measures, and we can create, the calculated tables with the help of this DAX feature that we have. Now, it is like a simple, a formula language that we have in the Power BI. It's like a formula language, which we use like the way you use it in the Excel. So this is something which is now a little more advanced and give you more capabilities. And this can be used across different other Microsoft applications as well, right? In fact, these DAX can be utilized in the Excel also. They can be utilized within the SQL Server or other technologies as well. So let's see all the things happening practically over here. So I'll just open a fresh new Power BI file. So I'll be making a connection with this data set. I'll give you a hang of this data set also, what this data set is all about. So this is the data set that I have, training sample. See, in this file, we have like a transactional data. So when you purchase something from a store, so they capture all that data. So we have that kind of a data in this with us, but we will see a lot of DAX functionalities and some of the data modeling techniques also coming into it. So the data that we have is, you will see there's a column of region, right? From which region, from which country, which customer purchased, what type of item. So there's a business segment, category, what model he purchased, what was the color, what date he purchased that item, list price, unit price, and order quantity. All right. So what I would like to do right now is I will start with the functionalities of creating calculated columns. So when we talk about creating calculated columns, so columns are something which generate physical data for you, right? Like where you will be able to see a row level data getting generated. So if you have to make a new column, what you do is you have to click on this option of new column. So if I click on this new column, you will notice a formula bar opens up for us where we can see this formula that we want to, whatever calculation I want to do, we can do it. So I'm going to name it as cost. See, if you see in this data, we have a list price and we have a unit price, right? List price is the price at which the item was sold. Unit price is the price at which the item was purchased. And order quantity is like how much quantity of that product was purchased. So cost is going to be unit price multiplied by order quantity. Okay. So we just have to type the column names. That's it. If I say unit price, it comes in the list. You select it, multiplied by order quantity, and there you get it. All right. So we get this column of cost. Likewise, if I want to add a column of sales, so sales will become list price into order quantity. See, when I said, it generates a physical data, we can see this column that we have created, a physical data has been generated. And a column will always bring a row wise calculation. See, for each row, the calculation is happening and the numbers can be seen. Now, likewise, if I want to add a new column, which is a column of sales. So I can say sales is equal to list price multiplied by order quantity. That is going to give me the sales column. So that's how we are adding these calculated columns. And in fact, you will all notice when we add a column, there is this icon that comes up. This icon helps you understand that these were the calculated columns. They were not existing in the original data set. Okay. let's add one more column over here. Suppose if I say I want to add a new column, let me call it as profit. Profit is going to be sales minus cost. So this column will be added. So whatever column calculations I want to do, so normal mathematical operations is something which you can do as it is with the symbols like plus, minus, multiplication, division. They work as it is. Right now, I have not used as such any new formula over here. And once you make this column, suppose you want to use them in any of the visualizations. So if I go back to this report view, so report view is something where you make the charts. So if I come, suppose I want to make a table, I can click over here on the table view. And when I click on the table view, so I'll bring country. I can bring the cost. I can bring the sales. I can bring the profit. So this is where you will notice all the calculations that happen at the country level. So when you drag the cost or sales, you get the sum of cost, sum of sales, and sum of profit. Any questions, anyone? What we have done till now? See, if I go back to the report view, suppose what if I want to add a conditional column? So we can use the if formula. So if I add a new column, I'm saying if the sale was more than 2000, I want to categorize it as group A. And otherwise, less than or equal to 2000, I want to categorize it as group B. So what I'll do in that scenario is I will create something as sales group. If sales is greater than 2000, so in the if formula, first you give your condition, comma. If the condition is true, I want the output as group A. And if the condition fails, group B. Okay. So that's how you will get this output over here, sales group. You give the condition. If the condition is true, then group A. If the condition fails, group B. The problem with the if formula that we write is like if in case you have to write, you have to create a column with multiple conditions. There you have to write a lot of nested if formulas. Like if I add a new column, I'm saying let's call it as sales group 2. So here I want to create a column where I have to have the conditions like, okay, if the sales is more than 2000, then group A. If the sales is between 1500 to 2000, group B. If the sales is less than 1500, then I want to categorize it as group C. So if I write the if condition, so my scenario will be, I will be saying that, okay, if sales is more than 2000, I want to call it as group A. Then if the condition fails, you will have to write another if formula because we have to check one more scenario here. So I'm saying if the condition fails, I will write another if formula. If the sales is greater than or equal to 1500, okay, then I will be calling it as group B, otherwise group C. Okay, so that's how you will see the 3 categories have been created now, A, B, and C. Okay, but the problem is, this formula becomes lengthier and lengthier if you have multiple scenarios. To overcome this thing, what we do is if I add a new column, I can use switch formula. I can say sales group 3, where I can say, okay, switch. See, in the switch, what happens is first you give the expression. Like I am saying, expression is true. That means when the condition is true, that's when the output should come up. So I am writing the first thing as sales greater than 2000. The output should be group A. If this condition fails, I will directly write sales greater than equal to 1500, then group B, and otherwise group C. So that's something which will work over here. Okay. Now, another example, if I give you for the switch formula, see, this is something like case statement. If you all would have used, if anyone is coming from the SQL background, so the way we use the case statement, it can be used in that scenario also. Like suppose, I have a scenario where I'm saying I want to distribute the bonus. Now I'm saying the bonus is like, you have different countries over here in this data. See, let me show this to you in the form of a table itself. I'm making another table over here where I'm adding countries. See, we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 countries. I'm going to say, let's suppose for country Australia, I want to give the bonus as 10%. For Canada, I want to give the bonus as 15%. For France, I want to give the bonus as 20%. And other countries, others, they will get 25%. So see, if you will write this thing with the if formula, it will be very tricky. You will have to write if country equal to Australia, then this. If country equal to Canada, then this. So if you will use the switch formula over here, let me add a new column and call it as bonus equal to switch. See, first is the expression. Expression is going to be country. I am saying if the country is Australia, okay, in that case, I am saying the bonus is 0.1 into sales, comma. If I'm saying over here, this is for the Australia. The second is Canada. Then it is 0.15 into sales. Okay. So if I put the third thing, if the country is France, and I'm saying that this is for that, we would like to give 0.2 into sales. And for others, 0.25 into sales. See, this is going to create that formula for us. Right? So any challenges on this, all of you? See now, similarly, what happens over here is like this is where we have talked about conditional column. Now, a very important topic I'm going to tell you over here. See, when you work in Power BI with the date fields, right? When you work with the date fields. So what happens is Power BI automatically generates a hierarchy for you. Okay, like for example, if I create a table and in the table, what I'm doing is I am dragging my field of, the suppose sales date. So you will get year, quarter, month and day coming up. So although I've dragged the sales date, but Power BI has automatically generated a hierarchy for this. Okay. Now, how is this hierarchy getting generated? Because see what happened is that when you have a hierarchy, so so in that hierarchy, what happened is, I mean, what Power BI does, it creates a table in the backend, right? So, what happens is there is a table that is created in the backend where all the year, quarter, month, and day are extracted for it. But this is a hidden table that is getting created. Now, what happened is, if you have multiple date fields, if you have multiple date fields, so what will happen in that scenario is multiple hidden date tables will be created, right? Because when you are seeing this hierarchy is actually coming from a backend table. That hierarchy is coming from the backend table. But when you have multiple date fields, multiple such tables will be created, which will be bad for the performance of Power BI because there will be multiple hierarchy tables that you will have. The good thing is that yes, you will get a hierarchy coming up, but the backend table will eat away a lot of your memory. So that's why what we do in that case is, right? That's why what we do is we go to the file option and we say options and settings and click on options. And what we do is we deactivate that functionality, right? Like I will come over here, I will uncheck this option of auto date and time, and I will click on OK. So what will now happen over here because of that is, oops, sorry, I did it at the wrong place. Options and settings, options. I changed in the global one. You have to go in the current file, the file where we are working right now. We go to the data load and uncheck this option of auto date and time. So what this unchecking this option will do, that will not create the hidden tables in the backend, and as a result of which you will lose the hierarchy. Let's see that up. Okay. So if you see over here right now that hierarchy is gone. So definitely, we have freed up some memory, but we have lost our functionality of hierarchies and other time intelligence functionalities. So now to overcome that thing, what we actually do is we will make our own date table. I will make my own customized date table, right? And this table can be modeled or this can be linked to the existing tables over here that we already have in the data. So your hierarchy can fall from here. And if you will have multiple date fields, so instead of having multiple, date tables in the backend, you will be able to manage all the things with one table itself by maintaining a proper connection between them. That's what the advantage of this, the date table is going to be. Let's see how do we do that. So I'm going to come over here. If I come and click on, the modeling, if I click on modeling, and then if I click on new table, so there is an option of new table. Okay. So over here, what we will do is I'm going to call it as a date table. And we have, a function which is called as calendar function, calendar auto. What this calendar auto function does, it is going to scan all the date fields, identify the minimum and the maximum year. And between that time period, it will generate all the dates for you. See, if I click on this, in the memory right now over here, if I go back to the table view, you will see a new table has been created, date table. So all the dates which we have in the system, they are now generated over here within this table. Okay. Now in this table, what I will do is I will say, okay, let me add a new column. And here I will extract the year. For that, we will use a function of year of date table date. And this is where the year is extracted. If I add another column over here, I will extract the month. I will say month equal to month of date table date. So month will be extracted in the form of a number, not as a text, as a number right now. If I add one more column over here, I want to extract the month name. I will use format function. I will say from the date table, format function will help you to extract the month in the form of a text. Like for example, if I say MMM, the month will be extracted in the form of a name, right? Like Jan, Feb, and March. Now see, the benefit of that will be like if I come over here in the modeling. So because this table is a separate, date table is a separate table and training sample 2 is a separate table. So somewhere we have to connect them. So if I come to the data modeling view over here, you will see the two tables. We can see them. I will now connect these two tables. See how will I connect this? I have date field and sales date, right? So these are the common fields. That's where the data modeling happens. If I drag the date to the sales date, the two tables will now be connected to each other. So you can do the calculations by dragging and dropping the fields from any of the tables, and these two tables will actually talk to each other. So that's where, we have made our separate date table, which actually helps us to overcome that memory limitations that we will have over there. Okay. So now if I go back to the report view, let's utilize the two tables over here to make some visualization. See, let's make a matrix this time. So if I create a matrix, which is this. So what I'll do is I'm going to bring from this the date table. If I pick up the field of month name, let me put it in the rows. And let me put country in the columns. And sales in the values. So this is what we will get as a view. Okay. But if you will take a look on this chart right now, see the month names are not coming sorted properly. The reason for that is because, we have extracted the month, right? So in that case, now what is going to happen over here is, over here right now. So once we make this table up, the thing that I would like to do over here right now is that the months should be coming in the proper sequence of the chronological sequence. So how do we do that? We'll have to do a custom sorting. So if you come to the date table, right now this month name is being treated as a text data. That's why they're coming alphabetically sorted. So can I say wherever the month Jan is coming, the number will be 1. Wherever the Feb would be coming, the number will be 2. So when you click on the month name, over here, you will see there's an option of sort by column. You will see there's an option of sort by column where I will say I want to sort this data by month. Right, I've changed the sorting of this column. Now, if you will see the months are coming sorted as Jan to Feb or Jan to December. Okay. See, now we have seen the concept of creating calculated tables. We have seen how we have made some calculated the columns. Now, this is where comes the very interesting topic, which is called as measures. Now, see, when we talk about measures, see, what is the meaning of a measure? See, measure is something which stands for a calculation, right? This is something which means a calculation. Now, when we are talking about a calculation now, see what happens over here is it means like you have a column, right? Like if I have a column of sales. Now, see, sales is a column. What calculation can I do on the sales? I can find the sum of sales. I can find the minimum sales. I can find the maximum sales. I can find the average sales. So these are the different calculations that I can do on that column of sales. So by default also what Power BI does, it does some implicit calculations for you. It does some implicit calculations. So implicit calculations like, for example, if I make a normal table here right now, and I have country, and I drag sales. See, when you're dragging sales over here, you are actually getting sum of sales. There is a calculation that is happening on the sales column. You're not getting the actual sales values. You're getting a calculation on that. So this is like an implicit calculation what Power BI is doing for you. Okay. If I click on this little arrow, I can change it to average. I can change it to minimum so that the calculation will change. Let me try to keep it as sum. So this is like an internal calculation. But if you want to do some of your custom calculations, you actually have to create a measure in that case. You will have to come up with a measure in that case. So let's see how do we do this. If you click over here on new measure, there is this option of new measure. See, measure, please remember, since I have told you it's a calculation, it will always have some aggregate function linked to it, like sum, minimum, or max. So if I click over here on new measure, I will say total sales equal to sum of sales. See, when I'm saying sum of sales, this is a calculation that I've just created. Now, this will not be visible to you anywhere in the data. This is something which gets come into action when you create or use this in any of your visualizations. So if I bring this up, total sales right over here in this, you will see the same number is coming up over here as well. Okay. You will notice the same number, total sales come over here. So what it is doing in the backend, it is going and doing the sum of sales for me. So, it is very important to understand a differentiation between a column and a measure. A column is generating row level data, each entry individually, whereas measure is aggregating the number. It is aggregating the thing, whatever you are trying to define. Okay. So now over here, what I will be doing right now is let's take a practical example that, OK, where will I actually create a measure? Because this could have been done without making a measure also. I was still getting the same thing. Suppose if I bring profit also in this data set, I'm bringing the profit also. So I can see sum of profit, sum of sales over here. If I ask you, you have to calculate the profit margin. So how can you calculate the profit margin, everyone? Can I say profit margin will be sum of profit by sum of sales? I cannot create a column for that because what will happen if you will make a column, then in that case, row wise profit ratio will be calculated for each row. Like it will say, OK, this number divided profit divided by sales, profit divided by sales. So when you will bring that field in the chart, you will get the sum of percentages, which will be a wrong representation. So what I will do here is I will say, OK, I want to add a new measure. I'll call it as profit margin, which is going to be sum of profit divided by sum of sales. OK, let's take one more example of a new measure. And first, so if I just make this profit margin, let me bring this in the chart as well. I bring it up. So here you will see profit margin has come up. I can click over here, select the field. If I want to shoot in a proper percentage, I can click on this icon over here. So this is going to change it to a percentages over here. So I can see for Australia, the profit margin was 42.545. And likewise, I can see the profit margins being calculated. Okay. Now, similarly, if I want to make a new measure, suppose in each country, I want to calculate what was the profit per customer that was achieved. So if I have to calculate that profit per customer, so what can I do? I can say sum of profit divided by distinct count of customers. If I say total profit by number of customers that we had in that country, unique count of that, I will be able to see profit per customer. Now see, this you wouldn't have been able to do directly. Profit margin, profit per customer. For that, you need a measure which will do that calculation for you. So it will go for each country, it will find the total profit, it will calculate the number of customers, and that's where you will see those numbers over here. Okay, right? Now see what happens over here is the next thing that we have in this is while you are creating the measures, see there is a very interesting measure that you have which is called as calculate. So the calculate is a measure. What it can do is it can help you add some filters in your calculation. Like for example, like this is the chart that I already have where I have all the countries. But for each country right now, I can see the sum of sales, but I want to show a field where only the sales of a specific business segment should be reflected. So for example, if I say new measure, I will say sales of bikes. I will say calculate. See in the calculate, first of all, you define your expression. What do you want to calculate? I am saying I want to calculate sum of sales, comma. Then you have to define like what filter do you want to apply? I am saying only calculate where the business segment is equal to bikes. So if you bring this over here right now, sales bikes, this is the number that you will get. Now this calculate function will actually apply the filter and will only do the calculation for the business segment as bikes. You can add multiple filters also. Like if I say sales business segment equal to bikes, I want to apply a filter of year equal to 2018. See, it will apply two filters in this sales and year 2018. Now see with this calculate, there are a lot of possibilities that you have. Say like, for example, you want to do some time-based calculations. Suppose if I make a matrix over here, and what I do is I'm going to drag, let's drag year, and let me drag month name, and I'll drag sales over here, sales in the values. So this is what I will get to see. I will see month on month sales over here right now. Now, a very common requirement comes that, OK, if you have these sales values, I would like to see current month sales versus previous month sales. So if I create a new measure, I can call it as previous month sales, which is going to be calculate sum of sales. And I have to use a inbuilt function itself, which is previous month. Right? I will use an inbuilt function, which is previous month date table date. So what this function will do, see in the previous month, you have to pass the date field because the year and month are coming from the date table. So you have to say date table date. And if I bring that previous month sales over here inside it, that's what you will get over here. In front of April, I don't have anything because there is no previous month, but in front of May, this is a sale of May. This is a sale of previous month, that is April. Okay. Similarly, you have functions like if you want to do YTD calculation, right? And in fact, if you want to find the difference between current month and the previous month, I can add a new measure. Let's find the difference. I can say difference is sum of sales minus previous month sales. So because previous month sale is already a calculation that we have created, it will give you a difference. So you can easily understand wherever the difference is negative, that means you underachieved. Wherever it is positive, you overachieved. Yep. So any question till this point, all of you? Please, you can use the chat to ask your question. All right. Now see this difference that we have calculated. Don't you think it would be great if I can do some color coding? Wherever we have overachieved, it should come as green, underachieved as red. So that's where, when where you have dragged the field of difference, if you come and just click on this little arrow, I can apply conditional formatting and I will use background color. I am saying in the background color, I will use a rule, and the rule says if the difference is greater than 0 and less than whatever is the maximum number, that means it's a positive number. Color should be green. And I will add a new rule. If the value is greater than whatever is the minimum number and less than 0, the color should be red. So this will add that color coding, and it will be very easy for a person to identify, like red ones are the months where we underachieved, green ones where we overachieved. So that's where, we have done and used some of the time intelligence calculations to find these answers. Similarly, you have a YTD calculation. Like for example, let me just keep it in the full screen mode. If I create a new measure, see, YTD sale is something, where you cumulatively keep adding the data for the entire year, right? Like in the month of April, you will see the sale of April. In the month of May, you will see April plus May. In the month of June, you will see April plus May plus June. So you will keep cumulatively adding the data till December. When the next year will start, you will start the accumulation all over again. Let me call it as YTD sales. I will call it as calculate sum of sales, comma. See, we have a function called as dates YTD. So here I will just pass date table date. And this is where you will get your YTD sales now. Okay. So similarly, if you want to do the QTD sales, in that what we do is we keep adding the data. Like, you can check the result also. Like, for example, if you will see in the month of April, I see the sale of April. In the month of May, April plus May. See, 1.14 plus 3.14 makes it 4.2. And when the next year will start, so here you will notice this is all over starting. The accumulation is starting all over again. That's what a YTD sale does. This is something, these are the numbers which we use very, very widely across the financial reports that we create. All right. Now, see, similarly, what happen is, you can create. Okay. So what will we do over here is, if I just come over here in this, let's make some summary tables with the help of this DAX again. Say if I come on modeling, right? I'm just showing you some stuff, right? Like for example, I want to, like let's suppose I am saying I want to see total. I want to make a table where I want to capture total sales given by each customer. So if I click on new table over here, I can call it as customer table, which will be nothing but I will say summarize. See, summarize is a function. And over here, I will say I want to summarize my training sample table where I want to summarize the data by customer. And I want to see sum of sales. So you can make some quick summary tables over here. Oh, sorry. I have to give the column name first of all. The new column name is, let's call it as total sales. So you will notice over here, a backend table is created where you can see customer name and the sales value. So we can make some summary tables also if in case some requirement is there and some complex calculations are there. So these are like derived tables, right? The derived tables that we have made using the existing tables. So this is how you can come up and create your derived tables with the help of this. Yep. So everyone, so I'll keep the content till here, right? Like we have talked about DAX, we have talked about data modeling, some, how the date table can help you to optimize the data in the Power BI and some time intelligence calculations, conditional formatting. So, yep. So any questions, queries you would like to ask? So I would like to take the last few minutes for that. Yeah, want to, can you don't have the unmute, sorry, just check. Can you put the question in the chat possible? Kunal, can you just unmute want to please?
Yeah, can you hear me?
Yes, Montu, yes.
So Amit, actually, I'm just joining after like 20 minutes of your session. So I miss first 20 minutes of your demo. So my concern is like, can you send me a recording of this demo
Sure, I
session?
think so. Kunal, will it be possible? So I'll just check with the team. I think that should be doable. So the
Yeah,
recordings
and
can be shared.
another thing is my planning is to get the certified Microsoft certified Power BI consultant. So like you're going to train us on a professional manner or a technical manner in detail, like
Yes, yes.
what
See,
is
like the
the fee
because
structures and like.
yeah, the training is going to be fully hands-on and all the topics, there will be detailed discussion on each of the topic. Plus, there will be exercises to keep you engaged and make sure that you are learning and on the right track. So it will be, on a full because I myself PL 300 certified. So I'll help you out what type of questions will become and how you can prepare yourself better for that.
Okay, because like my main focus is to get the certified and you know working as a
Got it.
consultant.
Got it. No, no, sure. So, the agenda will be also on the same line. So we'll be covering the same content, which is being Power BI, Microsoft given data, the content. So all the things would be covered up.
Yeah. Thank you so much. Yeah, that's it from my side.
All right. Okay, so I think that would be all, everyone. Thank you. Any other questions? If you have, please.
Hi
You know.
Amit, am I audible?
Yes. Yep.
So Amit, my question is, if we create a date table and
Mhm,
we already have multiple date columns in the our data source, say in
mhm.
our existing table, so how to connect that new date table with the existing multiple date columns?
So, you will have to make multiple relationships. What happens in that case is because uh, two tables can have only one active relationship. So other relationships will come as, inactive relationships, right? So two tables can have only one active relationship. So if you have, say, suppose five date fields, and that
Hmm.
date table, you will be able to connect to all the five fields, but one will be active, the remaining four will be inactive. So to activate that inactive relationship, we use the DAX. There is a function which we have use relationship. So
Okay.
that helps us to overcome that thing.
Okay. And another thing is, there are two options. One is new measure and other is quick measure. So is there any particular difference between those two options?
See, quick measure will write the DAX automatically for you. So in the new measure, you have to write the function by yourself. In the quick measure, you will see the function will be coming up. You will just have to drag and drop the fields, and then the measure is something which will be written by the Power BI itself.
Okay, so is there any way that we get to know which are the functions available in the DAX by default?
There's a
Like you
document
told
that
the
you
calculate and yeah,
see.
yeah.
If you will,
So
there is a document that you have, which is a Microsoft document, which is, if you will say DAX documentation, you will
mhm.
be able to find the list of all the DAX that are available.
Okay, great, great. Thanks, Amit.